boys and girls, Mrs. Rauscher here, and today I'm popping in to teach you how to make a marker print using things that you have at home. A marker print is a form of printmaking. It allows you to create a design and repeat and duplicate that design over and over again quite quickly compared to drawing something over and over and over again. Printmakers use a lot of different techniques. We're going to use styrofoam today, but they could be carved into wood, they could use linoleum, they could use a letterpress, they could even etch things into metal. But today, we're just going to learn how to do something with something you might have at home. Let's get started. In order to make your marker print, you're going to need some kind of styrofoam. It could be a styrofoam plate, it could be a clean meat tray, it could be a takeout container. You're going to need a writing utensil, scissors, a clean sponge, washable markers, and some paper. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get a nice flat piece of styrofoam. So I'm going to take my scissors and I am going to cut this out. So obviously my printing plate's going to be a little bit tinier, but that's okay because I can print this more than once. That's what's so cool about printmaking, is your design and artwork can be printed and duplicated multiple times. So now what I want to do is figure out what I want my printing plate to look like. And I can just use a dull pencil. I don't want to use a super sharp pencil because it tends to tear through the styrofoam, creating holes, and it's just harder to carve in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about what I'm going to create. And I'm going to press right into the styrofoam. So you can see that there is actually a divot or like a gouge into the styrofoam, and that's exactly what you want. If you press too hard, you can tear it, but if you press too light, you can see that it's kind of in there, but if you go a little bit deeper, you're going to get better results. So I'm going to keep adding, and whatever you want to create, it is completely up to you. I'm going to grow my flower. So it's a little bit bigger, and then what I might do is add some leaves. Now I can leave my printing plate like this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out around the shape. Now I don't want to cut right on my line, I want to leave a little bit of a gap. But it'll just make it easier for me to know where I'm placing my design when we get to actually printing. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to make it a little bit smaller. And so my printing plate is finished. Now it is time to print. What you're going to need is your washable markers, and you're going to have to get your sponge. It could also be a washcloth, and you want to dampen it, but you don't want too much water on there. It's now time to make our marker prints. So what I'm going to do is take my markers, and I am going to color on my plate. When you start coloring, you're going to notice that the color may be lighter than what it actually would be if you were coloring, but it's going to, so if I look at this, you're going to see it's a little bit brighter, but that's okay. It's going to look a little bit more faint than it would on the paper, because essentially the marker is just floating. It's not soaking into our styrofoam. It's kind of just resting on top of our printing plate. And that's exactly what we want. So I'm just going to color it. Doesn't have to be perfect. And you're going to see that it's not going to go into the lines that you drew into it. And that's exactly what we want. So whatever your design, you can color it with lots of colors, just a couple colors. It is completely up to you. All right, my printing plate is colored, so now it is time to print. I'm going to take my sponge, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to dampen my paper. I don't want it sopping wet, I just want to be able to see the water. Now your paper might curl. You can kind of see that it's shiny with some water. Just gonna make sure there's a nice layer and that it is wet. I'm gonna place my printing plate on my paper. I'm gonna make sure the whole thing is touching. Let it sit there for a couple seconds, and then I'm gonna peel it off. You're going to see that the marker transferred onto my paper. Now you can see I still have a marker on my printing plate. What I can do is I can do a second print. Now this will definitely be lighter than the first. A lot of times this is called a ghost print, but you can get a lot more ink as well on there. Now what's awesome is I can keep going. I can take my markers again, and I can color it, and I can fill my whole paper with my design. I could even change colors. But if you're going to change colors, you definitely want to wipe off as much of the marker off of your printing plate as you possibly can. Again, I'm going to take my damp sponge, I'm going to dampen my paper, and I take my printing plate and place it exactly where I want it, and make sure that it's all touching the paper. Then I'm going to peel. And this can keep happening. And I do my ghost print, which is going to be much lighter.